I think somebody said you need to
It is 6:30 p.m. Welcome to the March 24th.
Okay, okay.
It is,
okay.
yeah. Welcome to the March 24th Conservation Commission meeting.
Make sure that it was assigned
Uh,
to, if you were diligent, that it was
Okay.
assigned to try to.
First order of business under new
You
business
did,
is the,
send your email to, Robert.
oh, sorry, am I
Sorry,
interrupting?
sorry.
Okay. First order of business is Patrick Baldwin, LL Reale LLC, review for recommendation for the planning board. No one is here from there, so I assume we can just skip that for now, and if they come in, we can go back to that.
Could I note one thing about
Yep,
that?
yep.
Appropriately, it says on one page, no phosphate fertilizer, and on another
Mhm.
page, it says 10-10-10 can be used. So it would just be standard, we'd let the planning board know, please be aware of that. When the final thing is done, we'd like no phosphate fertilizer.
Okay.
Yeah, so, yeah, page one is a general note, it
Yep.
says no phosphate.
Mhm.
Page
I saw
six-
that part.
Yeah,
I did not see
general
the,
application rate says 10-10-10, which is wrong. Also on page six, we're gonna critique it, well, they're not, oh, sorry. On page six, in the general construction note two, they did a good job in here calling out straw everywhere, except right there, they say hay bales. So, we need,
Yeah.
And that might be boilerplate language, but
Yep.
I look forward to not having to see it anymore.
yeah, well, they did a good job everywhere else saying straw, so
Yep.
I'm sure it was just one that was missed.
Okay, so while we are waiting for someone representing them to come here, second order of business is George May from Local Advisory Committee for River Protection to speak about open positions on the committee.
What timing?
You're free to take a seat up
George,
there.
your name got called as you were stepping through the door, so your item on the agenda just came up.
Not at all.
For the record, sir, before you start, I need your street address, your home address.
Yeah, my name is George May, and I live at 157 Norfolk Road.
You push the button?
button on the microphone, the green light should come on.
George May, 157 Natticook Road in Merrimack.
Thank you.
And thank you for allowing me to come over this evening and talk to you for a couple of minutes on this beautiful spring evening, now that winter's back again. I have two things that I'd like to bring up. One, the first one is, I think on your agenda, to ask for your cooperation in finding people that could serve as representatives from the town of Merrimack on the local advisory committees for the Merrimack and Sohegan rivers. Okay, I think that's on your agenda, is it? Let me give you a little bit of history. Probably about 20 years ago, the state decided that we could protect rivers more by allowing local groups that might be interested in those rivers to help provide information to the state on permitting. So if somebody wanted to build a house on the river or develop a business or do some whatever it might be along the river, and it required some sort of permitting, that local people could get involved and make recommendations. If, for example, they wanted to do something like St. Gobain or something, which is right on the Merrimack River, we might get involved, say, would it be nice to have access for people that wanted to go fishing or hiking through there. That was originally part of a heritage trail proposal many, many years ago. So that's the kind of thing that was the original intention. The Sohegan River was brought in a little bit later. The Merrimack was part of the original legislation. The Sohegan River came in after a study of 3 or 4 years, and is now also a protected river. And in one of the protections that they have is this local advisory group. I've been on both of these groups for a long time. Generally, what we're telling people is when you get into one of these groups, you know, it's for a 3-year period, but it's not really, it's for the rest of your life. So, I'm getting out of that. I'm too old, I'm involved with the Sohegan River, and right now, Merrimack has 2 protected rivers, the Merrimack and the Sohegan, and no representatives on either of those two committees.
I'll correct that. I am one on the Merrimack one. However, Nelson Disco, who served for many, many years, has left a spot open. So yes, we need people who are interested in this.
Okay, so maybe you can make some, I haven't been on the Merrimack now for about a year or so, and so maybe you can add anything, Ellen, if there's.
Just,
any-
sometimes projects come before the advisory committee that the Conservation Commission has already seen, but their mandate is to look at a couple of other things for developments that are within a quarter mile of the river. And as with the Conservation Commission, we are advisory. However, the State Department of Environmental Services needs to hear from the advisory commissions before they can make a final decision. So it's another set of eyes of the community looking at what happens along the river development.
For example, Costco. You people have looked at Costco, that's been looked at for years and years and years. The Merrimack, a bigger river than the Sohegan, gets a little bit more attention to it. But, yeah, so that
And we don't
Costco
meet,
proposal.
and the meetings are as needed. We've had, I think, 3 in the past year for the Merrimack. The Sohegan would be different, but it depends on what developments DES asks us to look at. There are meetings that last perhaps an hour, sometimes a little longer. The ones for the Merrimack Committee are at the Nashua City Hall. So it's a commitment of one evening, per
Whenever.
month or even couple of months as needed.
My suggestion here is that you people are all people that are involved, interested in this kind of thing. And I've got to tell you, 20, 25 years ago, when I was looking for volunteers for this kind of stuff, or monitoring of the rivers, whatever it might have been, I had all kinds of volunteers. Now I'm getting nobody. I spoke to the town council and told them that, you know, essentially what I'm telling you, and I expected that maybe somebody that picked up, you know, listened to the town council on internet or something would contact me. I didn't hear anything. So I'm thinking that maybe you folks might know a few other people. I know you're busy, you've got plenty of other things to do. But if you know anybody, if you got neighbors or friends, or just kind of keep it in mind when you're talking to people, you know, something about rivers, you know, that and springtime's coming. Sohegan's running, I just drove across there.
If by chance I found somebody, who would they contact? Contact
I'd be
you?
glad to be a contact, or
Okay.
Ellen could be a contact. would
Okay.
be, You know,
It'll eventually wind up at the town council because the members of the commission are formally named by the town council. But if you go through us or contact the council, either way, the names will get where they need to go.
And they can come to you for both Merrimack or Sohegan?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I'd certainly be interested in the Sohegan River. I help oversee the Wildcat Conservation Area, which has a fair chunk of the Sohegan River in it, so there's a small vested interest there, and sounds like something I would enjoy doing.
Yeah, and
We'd love
obviously,
to have
all the folks that we, you know, each one of us deals with a subcommittee here that's part of this group, so we can make sure that gets down in depth too, so.
both of these groups we don't do a lot of voting. It's more, you know, everybody kind of agrees, you know, that kind of a thing. So, It's very low-key, and, you know, whatever, you know, if a planner comes in and makes a presentation about what needs to be done, you know, he leaves and everybody just kind of talks about it for a while. And then we decide, here's what we can do to make improvement on the river. So we'd love to have you. My suggestion is come to the meetings. The Sohegan meets once a month on the third Thursday of every month, usually in Milford, usually at the police station in Milford, but not always. I'll be glad to take your email and make a contact with you, Andrew. So
All right.
we can make sure you get there. And then just go to a couple of meetings. You know, see if it appeals, see if you enjoy what's going on. One of the things that has happened is there's going to be a sustainability fair going to be in Milford at the Boys and Girls Club on Saturday, the 5th, which I guess is next Saturday. This is being sponsored now, or picked up really, by the Sohegan Local Advisory Committee. Because it was dropped by the group that was doing it, which was kind of a group in Milford and Wilton that had done it for a couple of years over at the high school there. Because it was being dropped, people had other things to do. And so the local advisory committee said, gee, this is too important, so we ought to do this again. It's got a little bit of a different character to it, a little bit more looking at it, you know, with the river. So on Saturday, come on over 9 to 1. There'll be people there that you can talk to about specifically this. The Merrimack will not be involved, or only peripherally. The Sohegan will be.
I'm also guessing we could possibly fold this into our general asking for volunteers, you know, because the subcommittees have openings, various other committees in town have openings, and we're trying to raise awareness and get some, you know, get some publicity for a lot of those, and this could be another one on it.
Perfect. That's exactly what I'm looking for tonight.
It's Karis is unfortunately not here tonight. She does most of that.
We'll make sure she hears about it. I
I'm
can make
sure
sure
we
she
will.
hears about that.
Yeah, I should mention the local advisory committees are made up of the communities along the river. So there are 6 communities on the Sohegan River that run down from New Ipswich to Merrimack. And generally, there's to be 3 members from each of the communities. But that flows up and down. It's pretty liquid, so. But Merrimack now has nobody, and that's not acceptable. One of the things certainly, probably about the rivers, both of the rivers, but the Sohegan River, for example, a lot of that in Merrimack is rural. There isn't a lot of activity along the river in Merrimack, which is great from the standpoint of the river. And, you know, if you look at Milford, you know, it's built up all the way along. You know, it runs right through the center of town, runs right through the center of Wilton, so forth. So we tend to overlook it, but Merrimack is very, very important to it. We've got Wildcat Falls that's now opened up with the river trail, and a great swimming spot there on the river that, you know, needs to be kind of done properly so that Merrimack residents use it rather than people from Lowell and so forth. But Merrimack's got to be represented here.
Well, we can certainly put out news about memberships, you know, people needed for the advisory committee, local advisory committee for the Sohegan, local advisory committee for the Lower Merrimack, and let people know about the sustainability fair
That'd
to
be great.
attend and pay attention to what's going on.
I might mention, there's another group that's coming up, the Merrimack River Watershed Council, which has been in existence for quite a while on the Merrimack River, has a river quality roundtable coming up at the end of April. It's gonna be in Haverhill, which is, Merrimack River Watershed Council has looked at the Merrimack River for a long time. It generally works, it's a 401c3 group that kind of works with grants for various things, and water quality is the big thing that they're looking at now. We've done a lot of water quality here on both the Merrimack and the Souhegan, at least up until the recent epidemic there. The COVID thing kind of put a squash on a lot of it, and we haven't really fully recovered from that.
And doesn't the NRPC also have like a working group that works on the Merrimack River? I think that factors into some of their planning.
I know someone from the NRPC is on the Lower Merrimack Advisory Committee.
Okay.
There's at least one representative. I don't know if she's there ex officio just because she's with the NRPC, or if she's a resident of one of the towns.
Okay, well, I think we've covered that. Any questions? I'll be glad to tell you anything.
What date was the roundtable discussion you mentioned?
The roundtable, Merrimack River Water Quality Roundtable, is going to be Tuesday, April 9th, 9 to 12, and it's going to be in Haverhill at their headquarters. What they're looking for there is doing water quality studies, and as I said, they're a grant organization. They get grants from wherever, federal government or whatever, to kind of put something together. And they've put together a water quality for the state of Massachusetts, which is where they spend a lot of their time. But they're looking for people from New Hampshire. They're looking to do water quality in New Hampshire. They've got all of our data for the last 25 years. So, but they want to put all this together. But that's what they're doing. And there'll be somebody there from our group that will also, I think, be a speaker at that round table. So, yeah, that'd be a great thing to go to and just see what's going on water quality in the Merrimack. Certainly, you know, with St. Cobain and, you know, all of the water quality that's gone on there, there's things to look at. There's things to pay attention to.
And George, don't worry, before summer comes, I'm gonna be telling people again about the water testing done on the Souhegan by the Souhegan Watershed Council. Stay tuned, folks, that'll come up in May.
Yeah.
I'll let you
Yeah,
know.
so putting it all together, it's great that, you know, we've done the water quality, pretty much I've been in charge of that. So the reason I'm doing is for education, you know, to put something in the newspaper and say, here's the water quality in the Merrimack or the Souhegan River. We don't have newspapers anymore. And, you know, people have to go onto the website or something to find out what it is. The Merrimack Watershed Council, which is a bigger, as I said, you know, grant-operated group, is going to be able to put something together and come up with real plans, not education, plans to correct some of the poop that's discharged directly into the river every time it rains. Right now, while we're sitting here, Manchester is pooping into the Merrimack River, right this very second. Does it every single time. That should be cleaned up. It's in the plans. The town of Manchester has a plan that goes out 20 years, and they've corrected some sections of the town. They've got to correct some more, and you know, this is all going to be corrected, but it's not going to be in my lifetime or yours, I don't think either. So, but that's part of the stuff that you look at. That's part of what working with the Merrimack River Watershed Council can help, can do something. Yes, they're looking at Haverhill, but Manchester's on the table also, okay?
Well, thanks for the service you've done in the past on the commissions, and we hope we can find people who are willing to step up and take your place.
That'd be great. That would be super. I had a second thing that I'd like to bring up. It's not on your agenda, so, and that is the access at Severns Bridge, the boating access at Severns Bridge. Back, everybody knows where I'm talking about, right? A number of years ago, that's always been a boat access. People have put in canoes, back when people had canoes, now they use kayaks, put it in. It's a horrible, horrible spot. It's almost impossible to get out of there. It's really terrible.
Hasn't that been closed? Wasn't that closed?
I believe it's been blocked off.
It's been blocked off, so we're not supposed to be using it any longer now, right?
Right.
But restoring it.
Yep, that's true.
Don't know if that can be done, but we'll see.
Yeah, what I'd like to do is get you folks to agree that that should be fixed, which means the DPW would get in there and fix some of that. A lot of it was created with rainwater coming down the hill. I think some of that has been corrected. Get it fixed up enough so that we can get the Boy Scouts in there to put steps down to the river, and there'll be a place so that they could drag their boats in and out of there.
Are you talking where the bridge meets, the bridge that meets at the end of Severns Bridge, at the Merrimack end of Severns Bridge?
Amherst
Yes.
Road.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure, was it a couple of years ago, we had DPW in here,
Yeah.
and consulted them on it. And I think the determination was to close it because it was unfixable. The grade makes it unfixable.
Yep.
You'd have to almost lower the bridge and the road, reduce the height it is over the water, which then it would be prone to flooding.
It's not perfect, but it can be fixed, and, if they can put steps in there, it's golden. It can be done. They've created a little parking lot across the street. I asked for that, and some time ago. They did that while they were working down there. They put in a mitigation pool there so that the water coming down would get strained a little bit before it went into the river, right there at the bridge.
George, unfortunately, because this is not an agenda item, really about all we can do is bring it back up to DPW and ask them to consult on this again.
Right,
So-
if you guys
Yep.
could support this.
Yep.
I've been asking for it for some time, and when Kyle was DPW director, he put it on the agenda.
Right,
on
he's
the
the one that told
plans.
us it couldn't be fixed.
Yeah, it was to
It
be
was
fixed.
it was too expensive to fix. Yeah, so that's why the Jersey barriers are there.
It can be fixed
So-
if you guys will agree with
Yeah,
that.
that's what I say, so we can
Yeah.
bring it up to DPW, we're gonna have them make another assessment of it and go from there. 'Cause, I
Yeah.
mean, obviously, as times change, technologies change, there may be something they can do now.
Yeah,
Yeah, so we can ask them to circle back on the issue and take another look at it. But yeah, because it's not on the agenda, we can't make any sort of official proclamation or vote on it. But I can just contact DPW and we'll see what they say.
I know that you folks had talked about putting in another access in the land that you have, the conservation land below there.
Fields Farm?
Fields Farm, yeah.
And I kind of question that. I'm not sure that that's the best idea, mostly because of theft. In other words, if you put in a parking lot down on the river there, it's away from the road, and people can, kids can get down there and bust into the cars that are.
Now, Fields
Well-
Farm is in the conceptual stage right now. We have not advanced.
Yeah, this is
to-
a pretty long way down the road,
Yeah.
what we're talking about now.
But in the meantime, we've got an access right there at Severns Bridge that could be, should be, is being used, but it's a mess. So
Mhm.
it ought to be fixed up and used. Let me point out that many years ago, Money Magazine listed the best places to live in the United States, and they listed Merrimack, New Hampshire as number one. And on the cover of the magazine was a guy and his wife and a dog and a canoe right there. a few years later, they did an interview with me and so forth, that they did an article on a thing. And I was in a kayak right there. So it's a spot that's, it's valuable. The value to it is that the Souhegan River is available to canoes and kayaks during certain times of the year. At other times, when, a little bit later, you can't get out there because the river's too low. Except in that stretch. So the stretch from Severns Bridge all the way down to Wildcat Falls is, well, not to Wildcat Falls, almost to Wildcat Falls. It's a long stretch, it's about a mile long. You can put in right there at Severns Bridge. You can paddle around, paddle downstream, turn around, paddle back upstream, take out, you're in the same place. And you've been out in a kayak or, all afternoon. And you can do that in August or September, when the rest of the river is completely unusable. So it's a very valuable stretch. People are gonna use it. It's a mess. It ought to be fixed.
Okay, well, thank you for coming, George. I'll bring up the DPW, I'll see what they have to say. Maybe they can take another look at it, maybe it can be fixed, we'll see.
We had some plans that were done, I don't know, before COVID, so I'm not sure exactly when, but there were some plans that probably exist in planning department someplace.
Yeah.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Okay, I did forget to mention, Karis is not here today, so Steve, can you fill in for her as the full-time voting member?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so next item on the agenda is a potential recycling program submitted by Karis. Karis obviously is not here tonight, but she did send along an email with notes, basically giving her ideas of what she was going to say. And Ellen, you have it printed out over there?
Yeah. Here's what she wrote. I would like to explore us sponsoring TerraCycle, I believe that's a brand or a copyright name, TerraCycle free recycling boxes with drop-off points somewhere convenient for people in town. They offer boxes for hard-to-recycle products, and she offers a web link that people can look at. We could do a Facebook survey to find out what products people would like to recycle. And I take it that the Facebook survey is something she'd be willing to put up.
I'm sorry, was she asking us to vote on something, or
Yeah,
just?
she's saying we could do a Facebook survey to find out what products people would like to recycle. So that's what her email says. She didn't make it a formal request, but it sounds like if we are to learn more about what people are looking to recycle that they can't right now, perhaps a Facebook survey would be the way to do it. I wouldn't mind telling her, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't really feel it's a need to vote on.
No,
I don't
no,
see
we don't
it.
need to vote on
Yeah.
that.
I mean, obviously, just the description of TerraCycle or that type of recycling, what's available, what it can do, and then ask the survey question, I guess.
Yeah, and find out if there's some, because
Yep.
obviously the transfer station has many things that it can process, some that it can't. If there's something that people want and aren't getting, I suppose this would be a way to sound people
Yep.
out about it.
And for anyone who wants to read along,
Ellen,
this is in
after the
her
meeting, can
email
you
to
share
us.
with me the organization that you, TerraCycle?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm vaguely familiar with the program. I think that they divide recyclables, hard to recycle recyclables into like 16, 20 categories. And the idea is if you have a workforce, a small workforce, and maybe your categories are like Keurig cups, used Keurig cups. That's not just plastic, it's plastic and food waste. You identify batteries maybe. You got e-waste. You pick 2 or 3 categories, and then there's some that you produce higher volumes, and as an office or a company, you can enter into this, and I think it's by mail too. I think you package them up and send them off. So I think that's what she's asking, if people are interested, you go look at their many different categories, select a couple that are appropriate for, say, this building or a school, and then go from there.
So would it be fair if I contacted Karis to say the consensus is, go ahead with a Facebook survey
Yeah.
for this?
I would think so, yeah.
And she included other stuff in email. Let's just save that for the other discussion for regarding potential education opportunities. And so that would move us on to the other piece of new business, which is discussion and potential vote on expenditure of funds to cover the purchase of a replacement gate for Greater Woods with an estimated cost of $270. We did discuss this at our last meeting, I believe. Anyone remember why this was tabled for this meeting? Did we just not have an accurate price yet?
Well, we voted for a not-to-exceed amount, which was, I think, $270.
I don't think we did.
I thought we held off on this,
Yeah, I thought we didn't have a quote.
because it's not in the last meeting minutes. I think that was the,
I don't remember us,
I don't think we voted on it. I
I
think
don't
we did, we
either,
were missing
I
it.
don't either. It's not in the last,
So the short of it is, we do have a quote for the actual gate itself, it's $270. We're assuming that the hinges and the latch and everything are good, and we're not going to have to buy a whole lot of other things, so we're looking, the Greater Woods Subcommittee is looking for the approval to go out or get a quote from Tractor Supply and submit it for the cost of a gate. We're assuming it's going to not exceed $350.
At a previous meeting, we had actually voted on materials for the kiosk at Sklar Park, not to exceed, I think, $270.
Okay,
So
so if we hold a vote today, it'll be $350.
I'd like to make a motion to not to exceed $350 for replacement of the entire gate and structure at the Greater Woods, in Greater Woods. We'll obviously gonna have to go get the gate and find out, but we may have some small pieces and parts to fix afterwards once we get it out there,
From Fund 51,
from Fund 53.
53. I'll second.
Okay, so it's got a motion, got a second. Any need for further discussion?
I'm sorry, the amount again?
So we're trying to go not to exceed $350.
Thank you.
The gate is expected to be $270, and we think everything looks
There's
clean and
always
straight
hardware.
over there, but when we get out there and hang the new gate on the beat-up post, we're wondering what we're gonna find.
Understood.
Okay, and that is Fund 53?
Yes, please.
Is there any further discussion? Any concerns, comments? Okay, then, let's just go right ahead and get to the vote. All in favor of the motion? All opposed? All abstaining? Vote passes 7-0.
Thank you.
So that is it for new business, unless if Patrick Baldwin and LO Realty come in the next few minutes.
Now, I'd like to make sure we are not closing that. I mean, we can give planning board our comments, but I don't wanna close this. I still think they need to come before us to
Mhm.
discuss this.
Understood, yeah.
Okay. So it would still be all right if I
Yeah, I mean,
email the planning board, these are our comments?
These are our comments so far, but we've not seen the,
We look forward to.
yeah, we look forward to discussing this
Okay.
project with the applicant.
So this moves us on to other discussion items of concern, and this can probably fit in under the rest of Karis's email. Again, Ellen, you have that included in your printout.
Kara said, I met with the principal and nurse at Thornton's Ferry School. The nurse is in charge of their gardening efforts. I toured their courtyards. They have two. One of these is the perfect location for a native rain garden. Rain from the roof enters this area via a number of pipes. The courtyard is usually too muddy to use. The nurse is hoping to make use of this area for a larger garden. We had the idea of setting up rain barrels off of one of these pipes with an overflow leading to one of 5 rain gardens at each of the other spouts. This would help rainwater percolate into the soil, making the center of the courtyard more usable for other uses. We have a number of questions to look into for the viability of this project. how much water comes off the roof, how can we pay for the project, could grants be involved? Students can participate, and I will work with the school to set up lessons relating to the ecological and infrastructural benefits of native rain gardens, and these lessons can be saved with our MCC materials so they can potentially be used in the future at other schools or events. We also talked about setting up TerraCycle boxes at the school. And Tom, I'll just give you this piece of paper and I'll keep
Okay,
a,
okay,
I'll
thank you.
keep this.
I can relax.
That's her direct comment on education things that she did, and then she has another note that, well, it's under other items of concern, but just so you're aware that she's thinking of it. Side note, I have concerns about the transfer station following protocols. Somebody recently informed me they brought some invasive brush there in trash bags and asked how to dispose of it. They were told to remove it from the bag and place it in outdoor brush. Is the brush burned or composted? Legally, it can only go into brush piles if those piles are going to be destroyed or if the brush has already been made non-viable, which had not been in the case above. This is not something I think we can take action on right now. I know that the brush area is, the leaves, for instance, are composted. That's all I know about the process, is that I come and I dump my leaves there. So if the commission wishes to contact DPW, we can do that, but that's a concern that Karis has, and I suspect she'll bring it up in the future.
I do believe they don't burn anything there. It is strictly composted.
Because there are concerns about burning as well.
Yes.
I'm sure we can contact DPW, but I'm wondering if that should go through the ComDev. It's kind of an official
That's a fair
request.
idea.
Yeah, I just, because that's,
Thank you.
I want to say accusation, but that's a, you know,
It's a question.
It's a question and it's
I
something we
can't
should-
answer it.
yeah, yeah. And it should probably go through ComDev as an official request.
And I've got to think this is something other towns have already dealt with. I'd be interested in
Yeah.
learning more about that.
So is there anything I should contact ComDev about, or,
I wonder about, if you could email ComDev and perhaps include the clip from Karis's email about her concerns, and say, this is not something we have background on.
Yeah.
And,
Looking for direction.
yeah, looking for direction. Thank you.
okay.
I've got one quick thing. We, as a commission, a while ago, voted to have someone join one of the subcommittees, and he did, and it's been great. Steve Deslets he was on the Greater Wood Subcommittee. He unfortunately had to step back for a short period of time. He is available again and would like to rejoin the commission. He did send me an email. I thought I forwarded it to you, but I can't seem to find it. Do we need to vote him back on a second time? 'Cause we
Was
already-
his term still, is his
Yeah.
term still pending?
No, he stepped back for a while. He's been gone for a little over a year or two now. So, but he's,
Subcommittee is we-upped every year, right? One-year terms,
Mhm.
is that right?
Something like that.
no, they have 2 and 3.
Oh, okay.
We split their terms up.
Oh,
excuse
that's
me,
right,
That's
yeah.
correct.
Yeah, and we do have open spaces on the Greater Wood Subcommittee, and we'd love to have him back. So I don't know if we
Yeah.
need to vote him back in, or if we need to just,
If he's not listed as a member currently,
We need to-
then we would probably have to vote.
How about have him shoot an email over?
well, yeah, he did, and I have it, and I've been trying to, I thought I sent it to Eric, and I can't seem to find it, and so,
But yeah, so we can put that on the agenda for the next meeting.
Okay.
Just,
I
yeah,
will make sure you get it.
send me that email and,
Yep.
yeah. That moves us on to the approval of the minutes for February.
Sorry, I did have one thing I wanted to bring up if I can. We had talked a while ago
Oh,
about the
yes.
Watkins Forest project with the tree harvesting. And so that is, that moved
Oh.
to the ballot at deliberative session. So that will be Article 6, needs to pass the way it's set up, it has to be a ballot question. So it has to pass by a majority of the vote.
We have to vote on doing the forestry in Watkins Forest?
Yes. Yeah,
That the trustees of the trust fund?
exactly. Yep.
Okay,
Have
then
we-
that's something we should talk to our neighbors about, Article 6, yes.
Well, no,
Is that
We-
specific to Watkins Forest or just
I
generally?
think it's specific to that. I'm not sure if it's anything that would be under a trust, or I'm not sure the exact,
I'm trying,
Reason why, but-
it was literally like 10+ years ago, we did a forestry, we had a ballot article for that?
yeah, so, the last time they said it was done was 20 years ago, 2004, that it was harvested.
Wow, I'm old.
So anyways, it'll be on the ballot on April 8th. A couple of audience members had questions because the way it works is once it passes, there is a committee that's formed to oversee it. So there's a member of the trustees of the trust fund, there's a member of town council, and a member of the school board, because that trust money goes to the schools. So some people had questions, why isn't there a member of Conservation Commission on that? And the simple answer is that's not the way the trust was set up. It was dictated that this is the,
So it's a legal
This is the-
document.
Yeah,
right.
it's a
And
trust,
you would have to go through like,
Okay.
you know.
It's like getting a student member on the Conservation Commission that,
It's like changing your deed. It's a
Yeah.
big deal.
Yeah, so anyways,
We
I
I'm
just
sure we
wanted
could
to,
volunteer.
yeah, bring that up. So I know we had talked about engaging a forester, and maybe we, with Mitchell Woods, we would kind of try to time it, so we would do something at the same time. So I don't know if we want to put that on the April 14th agenda to discuss it at that time.
I would.
I don't know how quickly that committee forms. The different bodies have to nominate and vote the person that's going to be the representative.
So they do not have a forester yet. This is just the approval to go ahead and have it done.
Correct. I
Right.
believe Chris Christensen did go to the property with a forester and somebody from the UNH Extension
Okay,
Service.
all right,
So they have
okay.
looked at it
All
a
right.
bit.
Well, I was just saying, that would have been, would be great just to help pop over that stone wall and walk around our side too and see what else you can grab.
Right,
And then-
so there's still an opportunity to
Okay.
do that. I think once, if it passes, then, and I don't know, I also had a few friends of mine saw the article and reached out and said, this is a bad thing, right? We don't want to be cutting trees and selling them off. So I don't know if any of you who have experienced the, tree harvesting before want to talk to why it's a good thing to do this and, maintain a forest this way.
Do you want to discuss it now? I mean, it's very simple. I mean, as
Yeah.
people walk around, you walk through the forest and you see stone walls in the middle of the forest. That stone wall was not built in the middle of a forest. It was built in a field. So you can walk around all over New Hampshire. We've got more miles of stone walls in this state than we do paved roads. So there's trees are a crop. We can cut them and they'll grow. You go look at Greater Woods. We cut the main road of Greater Woods and the loop trail, all that, 24 years ago, 25 years ago. We've had 3 successional cuts there on the road, trying to keep that road open and wide enough for emergency vehicles. So cutting trees is okay, especially when you go in there with a forester, you have a management plan. Our management plan says we go cut almost every 10 to 15 years. So it's-
management is the key word here.
Management is the key, yeah. Stewardship, that maybe it's a bit better word. And that's a healthy way of maintaining a forest. So it's a good idea. And again, we're not just cutting, we're going in there with a forester, we're going there UNH. You thin out the weak trees, the bad trees, the ones that are dying, and you let the sectional forest take back over. So it's a good practice.
Well, you think Chris Christensen did meet a forester out there?
I believe that's what he said. So in there, the trustees of the trust fund just met on the 20th, and in the recording, they were talking about it. So it sounded to me like, I don't want to say for sure he did, but
Okay.
I know he
Yeah,
mentioned.
I'll check, because I have been reaching out to foresters. I took that on
Oh,
as an action item, and I've found one so far that's interested in actually, most of them are up north, but I found one that's interested in coming to look at a couple of our parcels.
We can catch up with Chris and then go walk that.
I'd like
and
to
see.
get the name of that, yeah.
Yeah.
And I'll just add that managing the forest, cutting down some of the trees, is also healthier from an ecological perspective because it's not getting managed in the way that like a true wild forest would be. It can often lead to single species coming to dominate the entire, well, not ecosystem because we're much smaller than that, but the entire community will be dominated by a single species, which overall will make everything less healthy, make it more stagnant. So cutting down trees as a long-term management program to keep everything healthy is a normal practice. It's a common practice.
I wonder if the council would appreciate, I know you guys you'll make a recommendation to the voters. I wonder if the council would appreciate something like that coming from us.
We actually, we couldn't do a vote on it, so
No.
it wasn't, because it's an article direct from the trustees of the
I see.
trust funds,
Okay.
so, yeah.
I had one reminder. April 1st is coming up, and it's time to take down your bird feeders.
Yes.
Bears. 'cause
Or the
it's-
bear will
Yes,
become
yes,
your
yes.
pet.
Just so I have it right, so for the April 14th meeting, what did you want on the agenda for the Watkins Forest?
Maybe we
Forest?
can just do an update that
Yeah.
if it passed or not on the
Okay.
8th.
Yeah, and then we could have the forester also review our side of the stone wall
Mhm.
and see if there's, we should be doing some management out there in that.
Okay. So if no one has any other items of concern, then we can move on to the approval of the minutes for the February 24th meeting. I did have one fix. Oh, wait, we do the vote first, don't we?
I'll
I
make a-
move that we
Yes.
approve the draft minutes of the March 24th, or, excuse me, the March 10th meeting of Conservation Commission with the following amendments. February 24th.
March 10th
thank
was
you.
canceled.
Thank you. February 24th meeting. Approve the draft minutes with the following amendments.
Second.
Seconded by Andrew. Okay, I did have one fix. On page 3, line 120, commissioner is misspelled as commissioner, missing an I between the M and the S.
I have one as well. Line 59, I think it's a typo. It's the first word in the line. It should be handsome, not handsome.
Yeah, it's just that because it was spelled correctly above it.
And on line 195, it should be motion seconded by Commissioner Duane.
Andrew, can you say that again?
On line 195, it should be motion seconded by Commissioner Duane, not
Oh,
Andrew Duane.
okay.
We probably grabbed a packet when you came in. That's from downstairs. This you can copy it yourself.
Does anyone else have any other edits for the minutes?
Nope, look at me.
Okay, all in favor of approving the minutes as amended? All opposed? All abstaining? Motion passes 7-0.
And the next meeting is 3 weeks hence, not 2, correct? Because we've got
It's
the
not.
31st coming up.
Yes, that's right. Okay, would, any other last minute commissioner comments before we close out this meeting? Okay, would anyone like to make a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Seconded by Andrew. All in favor? All opposed? All abstaining? Motion passes 7 to 0. Meeting is adjourned at 7:21 PM.